Welcome everyone to another episode of the Big Brand MMA podcast, episode 81, UFC 290 Volkanovski versus Yair Rodriguez. I'm your host, like always, Big Steve. If this is your first time listening, I'm a full-time gambler from Australia. Been doing this for a living for 1 or so years, maybe more. But yeah, more than 5 years all up. Up around 30,000 so far this year, and had a few units increases recently. I'm on 1.5k and just looking to keep that going. Uh, Also, I'm about to go to Europe in a few hours tonight, so these podcasts they might be a little bit sporadic. I'm gonna try and enjoy myself. I work a lot. Um, I did have podcasts in Europe last year. It just really depends on my Wi-Fi, where I am, if I'm at the beach, if I'm at my family home, on a farm. But yeah. My gambling did get my results were amazing this time last year in Europe. So yeah, the Discord's going to be active. A lot of sharp people in the Discord. So I will still be taping. I'll still be posting pics. Obviously, I'll have limited time, so I'll only be taping my most confident leans, which is why I think I did so well last year. So without wasting any more time, I'll quickly do the overview last week. Uh, Cage Warriors was horrible for betting, and I did unfortunately last minute force some bets. Uh, I I forced Vitara, whatever his name is, the Moldovan short notice kickboxer. At first, I didn't want to play him. I thought Endai shoots a lot of takedowns, and that's exactly what happened. I still lost at 29-28, but he kept going for guillotines. So I only did a half a unit with a Hardy. Hardy had a squash match against the Korea flyweight who was 4-4. So yeah, Hardy hit. Vitara, whatever his name is, lost. So that was like a half a unit loss. And then I sprinkled like $100 on KO on that dude fighting Clamp. I thought, Clamp could maybe wrestle him and eventually Ghazali, whatever his name is, would knock him out. So yeah, I lost like $900 there. And then in the UFC, I live bet Petrovic, which is annoying. I had a good line on Carolina all week, and then I cashed it out and threw away $300 on Petrovic. Then I put 750 on Rosa after round one as an underdog against Yana. That's how I kept the fight. I thought Rosa would start slow. A little bit sweaty, but got there in the end. I was up 300. And then Renat hit, easy peasy, my best bet from last week. Breeder round one and under 1.5 rounds hit easy. That put us on $2,000 something. I thought I was up for a red panty night. I had Ferreira with a Hardy. And then I had Ferreira one takedown prop, $1.70, which got steamed to $1.20. That was one of my most confident takedown props recently. I haven't been losing him at all. Every single takedown prop I placed, I hit. Salikov, Makachev too, Volkanovski, not Angela Hill, Mackenzie Dern. Every single takedown prop I've been hitting over the last few months, and that was the best odds. And all Ferreira had to do was shoot one takedown, and the Uzbekistani dude would have fallen over at any point, and he just got knocked out straight away. So I lost $1,000 on one takedown prop, and I lost 1,500 on that Ferreira parlay, and that was a bit forced. I passed on him at better line, then I played minus 500 and cashed out, and then I played him again at worse than minus 200. I kept being like, do I want to play him? Do I not want to play him? In the end, I forced it, and yeah, lost that one. So I went from $2,000 up. I lost 2,500 in that. I had Garda a unit, which was my least confident play. I just kind of let it ride. I thought she would have the advantage on the feet as well with the 1-2s, and she was landing the 1-2s all fight. It just didn't really separate. I did live bet Lipsky at plus money after rounds 2. I thought she could be winning. So that hedged me a little bit, and then I left half a unit on Dawson. We discussed that with Evan last week. I'm actually learning. A lot of the time I have good CLV. I play some stupid stuff. I hedge too much and I lose money. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to overthink it. I've got $2.30 on Dawson. I made the mistake of before overcomplicating it. I'm just going to leave it. If it loses, it loses. And he ended up winning, and he ended up winning convincingly. So that put me down to minus 200. And then I put 1,000 on Strickland halfway through round one at the best dog line. And then I put another $1,000 on him at $1.40 in rounds 2, and won 2,000 something on Strickland. So I ended up 1,500 profit after being down to 1,500 before the last two fights, thanks to Dawson and a big live bet on Strickland, and ended up 600 profit for the month with 900 loss on Cage Warriors. So it is what it is. We move on. Yeah, shame about the Ferrer result. Alrighty, let's go through the comments. We'll get into it. Zen Monkey, how are you, mate? I don't remember you being in here. Thanks for joining. FIFA Gaming, if you're in Europe, are you going to watch the fights live? So most of the fights I won't be watching live in America because they're like 2 a.m. And I'm really happy about that. I've got no live betting. So last year was really good to just place my bets, go bed, and just wake up and, no stress, no tilting, just whatever the result is. And it's good because I've been stressed and tilted for like a year straight. So it's just good to get a little bit of a break. I'll obviously be watching the European ones. The European ones like London, they'll be my time. Hello son, hello dad again, my number one fan. Yes, Strickland live bets are the best. Pepe Celia, safe travels, thank you King. Brett Johnson, beautiful profile pic, mate. Steve Volkanovski, Yair doesn't go, let's ride. We'll get there, mate. All right, let's get into it. Try keep a Kukan. There's some regionals I have to tape as well. Kamuela, Kirk, Esteban, Ribovics. Interesting fight. This is it's been steamed quite a bit. I taped it. I know Ribovics well. I played him against Loic Radzabanov. Before people thought the Loic was washed, and people playing juice, and I thought Loic won't be able to hold him down. He'll get takedowns. He might gas, and Ribovics. I rate him more than some others, even though he's been fighting on the Argentinian scene. This is a bit different. I understand, people probably think Kirk can, maybe submit him or take advantage of his lack of takedown defense. I don't know. Ribovics doesn't strike me as someone with bad grappling. His Kimura trap is pretty good. He's able to get the back off it. But then again, Kirk will probably be more dangerous on the ground, other than someone like Loic, who's more of just a greedy wrestler. But yeah, Kirk doesn't really like pressure. He's a little bit gassy. I mean, losing a competitive striking bout to Bruno Souza on the regionals, the karate guy, is just awful. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't really interested in Ribovics minus 200, but now that the line is improving, I might take a shot here. I think this is as good as it's going to get. I just think Ribovics is the faster, more explosive dude. And, I played him against Loic, and I think this is a step down. And I feel like his stock only went up, after that UFC debut. It was his first loss. And he almost knocked out Loic multiple times, and I thought he was unlucky to lose at 29-28. I think he might have some issues on the ground. Maybe Kirk takes his back or something. But yeah, I think ultimately Ribovics potentially lands a KO at some point, or drops him, or it's just a scrappy back and forth fight where Ribovics has the bigger moments and the better cardio. So yeah, favorite or pass for me. I don't know if the line's going to improve anymore, but I'll play Ribovics if it does. Might look at some KOs as well. Alrighty, next fight we got Shannon Ross, Jesus Aguilar. Another fight where a bit of money's coming in on Ross. I get it. Ross is not a bad fighter, man. Not a bad fighter. He's definitely the more technical striker. He's got the cleaner, better striking. He can switch stances. The boxing is quite solid. He seems to have underrated power. He's got wrestling as well, which he hasn't really used on the Contender Series. And obviously, he got knocked out quick in his debut. It's just his durability, right? His durability, he's getting dropped a lot. Salvador, Steve Erceg, Clayton, all powerful hitters. But I've seen him, hurt on regionals, Australian regionals too. What is that noise, man? Jesus Christ. Something's vibrating in this house. I have no idea what it is. So the much better fighter in terms of technical and defense, and despite being chinny, he's got heart. He'll fight for your money. It's just the chin lets him down. But Aguilar has a lot of intangibles, right? I understand also why people want to fade Aguilar, because he looks like he has a ton of holes, right? His Contender Series and regionals and everywhere, he's kind of like he's gritty and he's going for all these takedowns and he's giving up position and he's hittable. But he just finds ways to win. He's got power. He's got underrated power for a small guy. He's got no quit in him. He'll fight for your money. He seems durable. and he's got that guillotine, right? And he's got cardio. He usually breaks his opponent. So what I feel like in this fight, Shannon Ross is probably going to be looking value. He's going to look like the better fighter. Aguilar will be doing stupid stuff like usual. And then eventually Aguilar might crack him and jump on a gilly or just drop him multiple times and win a scrappy decision. It's hard to play Aguilar, even though I think he wins this. Someone that makes that many errors as a juiced favorite. And then again, Ross. I'm not. Do I want to play Ross too? I mean, if I was going to play Ross, it would be Ross by decision, which I don't know what that's paying yet. The under is a little bit juiced. I think it's pretty heavily linked towards Aguilar, the finish. Maybe look at some Ross Aguilar submission. Maybe Aguilar KO. I don't know. It's. I don't want to say it's a dog or pass because the lines come in now. I'll see where the line goes, and this would be a perfect live bet fight. But also, I forgot to mention there'll be no live betting for me in Serbia. So, all right, let's move on. Cameron Saaiman, Terrence Mitchell. I've got Saaiman parlayed with Petrino up next. It's a little bit juicy. I don't want to overthink it. It's probably a squash match. Terrence Mitchell. Hard to get a read on the guy because all his tape is him running through bums in Alaska and just getting knocked out by people. In his couple of losses, one in 2010, and then Kai France, which is nothing to be embarrassed about. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to overthink it. It's just it's a juicy parlay, and Cameron's decent. I think the under 1.5 was a plus money at one point. I didn't want to force that because I don't think Cameron really has one punch KO power. A lot of his fights have been going over. I think, Terrence might be able to get some takedowns early. He doesn't have the best takedown defense. I think Cameron's eventually going to break him with the cardio and the pressure. I don't see him getting submitted by Mitchell. Even though he can be taken down, he's got good submission defense. So yeah, Cameron, whoever said this, Cameron inside the distance, minus 175. That's probably the best way to play it. And, he could do it with the last 30 seconds of round 3, or this could just be a massive squash match and he does it in rounds 1 or 2. So yeah, Cameron to smash, yeah. What do we got? Pepe Silva. I like the other 2.5 at plus 120. Yeah, that could hit, man. That could hit. It's just I'm scared about Shannon Ross's durability. I mean, who's the worst guy to finish him? Probably Vinicius Salvador. But he could have finished him in the first round, in the first few minutes. Yeah, Aguilar's finished some good dudes. Jamie Alvarez, Cháirez. That was late. Yeah, that could be a good play at plus money. Can't disagree there. All right, let's move on. This is my other parlay piece. So we got Vitor Petrino, Marcin Prachnio. I really regret not playing Vitor Prachnio, Vitor Petrino at Pick'em against Anton Turkaj. A lot of people are like, oh, he's so bad on the ground. He's gassy. Turkaj is going to re-naked choke him. I kind of got talked out of it. What I'm glad I didn't do is I didn't play the under 2.5. That was one of the fights I taped 2-3 times, and Petrino is going over a lot of the time. He went over 1.5 rounds against Kazimurov, Antigulov, who's chinny. I think Rodolfo Bellato is chinny. Second time he almost went into round 3. And Turkaj made it to decision. I still do think he hits hard, but it's more he's so big and athletic. I don't know that he's more so one punch KO power like Ngannou or someone. On the other side, though, Marcin Prachnio, if he's going to knock out anyone, it's probably going to be Marcin. I mean, the dude was cracked by Alvi, Magomed, Mike Rodriguez, Khalil Roundtree, Ike Villanueva, heard him in round 1. Felipe Lins didn't, surprisingly. We just wrestled him, and William Knight didn't do anything. I think he's due for a KO. I played some under 1.5 at plus money on Bet Online. I told the people in Discord I only did $250. I didn't feel like adding more at even plus money, and now it's minus money. I think you're just better off doing Petrino KO. I mean, Prachnio is just going to kick on the outside. I mean, there's a path for him, kick and and be more active. But I think Petrino, he's aggressive. He's got takedowns as well, and just Prachnio's cardio is horrendous. Prachnio is the bottom of the barrel, man. So I'm not overthinking it. Maybe Petrino loses here, because he's also unproven. But dude is 25 years of age, man, and he's on all the juices in the world. So yeah, Petrino in a parlay, and I'm looking at maybe some Petrino KO, etc., etc. Alrighty. Next fight, Edgar Cháirez, Tatsuro Taira. This one, I think Cháirez is a decent fighter. The only thing I'm looking at really here is whether Edgar Cháirez can make it over 1.5 rounds. I think it's 1.5 is a pick'em, and I think I have that accurately. I think it's 50-50. He either makes it over 1.5 or doesn't make it under 1.5. Taira's pretty patient. He, what's his name? Candelaria went to decision. CJ went over 1.5. He got out a few, exploded out of a few submissions. So it's not like, if Taira gets you, on the ground, you're getting insta-subbed. Here's Aguilar, straight away initiated the grappling, and he was on the bottom from the first minute and almost made it to the rounds too. And so yeah, I mean, Edgar Cháirez, he's decent. He's fought Clayton Carpenter, he's fought Jesus Aguilar, who we just mentioned. Went to rounds 5 with Aguilar until he finally got guillotined. He was good at stopping the takedowns, getting up. Clayton Carpenter as well, busted him up in rounds 1. And then, kind of slowed down. But even then, never in any danger. He was just taken down and didn't get up. So I think he's going to be patient. He's going to be hard to get anything off on him early. He might be making Taira a little bit uncomfortable. The only situation is if Taira drops him, because he's got underrated striking. But yeah, it's a dog or pass. I mean, I think Edgar's going to put up a fight. Maybe he goes over 1.5 rounds. That's the only thing I'm looking at, is just what's my risk tolerance like. I don't like playing these overs. I'm not an overs guy. I'm more of an unders guy. But I don't feel comfortable about this under, just because Taira is quite patient. Taira is. So yeah, looking at the over unders here, but no real confidence at the moment. Maybe fight starts round 2. That could be like around -200. Bit safer. Jimmy Crute, Alonzo Menifield. I think this fight was a pick'em last time, and I think it's a pick'em this time, and I think it's accurate. Maybe I'm wrong. I think maybe Alonzo was a bit of a dog. I couldn't get a read the first time around, and then watching that fight, I'm glad that I passed, because the fight was a complete shit show. I saved my money on the under 1.5 there. I just had a weird feeling about it, because you see Alonzo, if he doesn't get a round 1 KO, he goes over a lot of the time. And that's pretty much what happened. He almost knocked out Crute multiple times, and then it just went over into a gassy fight. What I was impressed with was Crute's wrestling. I think Crute I was surprised he was able to throw around Menifield early. I think his wrestling is a bit underrated. A lot of other fighters couldn't do that to Alonzo. And obviously Alonzo is still really hard to hold down and explosive. And he was like that, all up until rounds 3. I just don't know what's gonna change in this fight. Obviously Crute can try to fight more patiently, but he still doesn't have striking defense. And Alonso's probably going to fight the exact same way. So he could be similar. I don't really know. I think it's still a pick'em. I see people favoring Crute. I'm not too sure why. Yeah, and if anything that's getting my attention is this under 1.5. This time it's a pick'em. Last time he got steamed. I think this time it's a pick'em, and it's not getting steamed because people are just too scared of what happened in the first fight. But that was very close to ending. So, I would rather play that than the -2.5 a juice. And just go back to the well and play Alonzo Menifield round 1 KO again, which, I mean, he was playing a lot more last time. I don't think it's going to be playing that much this time. But yeah, pass fight for me all around, shit show. What do we got? Evan, hate to say it, but I have a bad feeling about this card. I do too, mate, but I mean, I don't really have many bets, so it's not like I'm going to get burned too much. Or maybe I will if I lose both of them. Evan, I think it's because I've been on a hot streak and I hate my bets this week. Yeah, if you're on a hot streak, mate, it's bound to happen, so maybe don't have too many bets. I'm going to arb all over the place. Yeah, smart thing to do. That's what I do. Arbing is for queers. Yeah, can't disagree. Parky, is Taira catch weight? I don't know, mate. Oh, it is 130 catch weight. Not that it makes too much of a difference. Evan, I'm an overs guy. You're the yin to my yang. That's it, mate. If your overs record was as good as my unders record, we'll make the perfect machine. Maybe send me your record. Let's see where we're at. I'm on 25 unders hit out of 26. 24, yeah. Evan, Steve, have you been to America? No, I haven't. I don't know if I will at this point. We must drag the podcast and keep Steve seated so he gets a blood clot. I'm getting a blood clot. I'm actually icing my ankle now. It's absolutely killing me. I'm kind of annoyed that happened. One day before my flight. Alright, the rest of the comments are rubbish. Next fight. Yazmin, Jauregui, Denise, Gomes. I see some people play Gomes, and then other people saying, Jauregui is the real deal. I definitely agree she is the real deal. She's just a very young, a very good boxer. She's got all the intangibles, gritty. She's got wrestling and good get-ups that she's used on the regionals. She's got power. And, I do remember Denise being a bit green, a bit hittable. Obviously, the first fight in her debut was against Loma is a tough task for a young chick like her. And it was a short notice. And she still did well. She was in a war. She got the back a few times. She gave Loma a fight more than some of the other UFC fighters. And we've seen her on a full camp against, Bruno Brazil, just KO'd her. She's got power. I think she's a purple belt. She's only going to improve. She's also 23 years of age. So I think it's a little bit wide, but it's just, we've seen Yazmin go to a close decision with Lucinda. Lucinda, not really known as a striker, per se, but obviously we've seen that she is a really good striker as well. She's a very well-rounded fighter. I thought that could have been a 29-28 to Lucinda, and Lucinda wobbled Yazmin multiple times. We've also seen her dropped by Nunes, so, she might have some issues with the defense, even though she has quite a good, Mexican chin. And Gomes will crack. It's just, I do feel like, at this point in time, Yazmin is a little bit more durable, a little bit more, not durable, has the better defense. Gomes is extremely hittable. Gomes will pressure. And obviously, the pressuring worked against Bruno Brazil, who, hands low, Brazilian kicker, who likes to have range. Gomes just didn't give her any of that. And she was extremely easy to hit with the hands low. Yazmin is, she's gonna have good boxing encounters in the pocket. If Gomes is gonna counter like that, I feel like she's gonna be lighting her up. I feel like she might just sneak it out with a bit of, with a bit of value on Gomes. It could be a potential, it could be a war where Gomes rocks her, Yazmin rocks her back. It could be. I feel like it's a close fight, like the Lucinda fight. If you think Gomes has better striking than Lucinda, then there's a bit of value there. I definitely think Gomes has more power than Lucinda. So yeah, I'm kind of talking myself into dog shot here, but I don't know. It's hard to hit it. I mean, Gomes has horrible wrestling, so I don't think she's going to be able to take advantage of the ground game really. But I mean, like I said, she's 23, man. She's going to fight for your money. She's got power. So it's a dog or pass. This under potentially 220 for the under 2.5 plus money. For Yazmin knocking out, Nunes, and she's knocked out a lot of girls. I think she's got some underrated power. But yeah, I don't know. It's a dog or pass. I think Gomes is still improving. They're both improving, but yeah. Let's move on. Jack Della versus Josiah Harrell. I actually taped Josiah Harrell for the first time properly last time he fought in LFA. There was minimum tape to find. I did find his LFA fight and did a bit of stalk. He's a jiu-jitsu dude. I think he's a black belt. A lot of grappling competitions. He's young. He's only 24 years of age. Short, stocky dude. He wasn't really impressive in his second fight. He fought a really old dude. I wanted to fade him, because the line was like crazy. Mike Roberts, minus 550. And it was competitive early. And then, Harrell kind of took over and took him down and knocked him out from back mount. He did the same thing to Tracy Rita, another guy in CFFC. Kind of had some issues early. It seemed like he got wobbled, rocked, didn't like to be on the feet. And then, took him down. And then, again, back mount and pounded him out. Obviously, grappling and jiu-jitsu is his game, and he's got good ground and pound. He's a bit short. He's stocky. I don't know. I feel like, watching the tape, I feel like Jack Della probably lights him up here. But, people are looking to fade Jack Della with Brady because of the grappling advantage. I mean, Harrell will proactively grapple, and he's a good grappler. So maybe you take a small stab on Harrell here. I think he's a better live bet. I think he's a lot better live bet. I mean, I can't fault anyone putting $100 on him. It's a big line. But yeah, I think more often than not, it's a bit of a squash match, for Jack Della. I'll see what the under 1.5 rounds is, if anyone can tell me if it opened up yet on Bet Online. But yeah, I mean, what does it say here? All right. Quickly address the comments. Big Steve's dead. Gomes wide, but meh, I agree. Should be a good live bet. George Nero, how are you, mate? Steve is on the US no-fly list. Nah, I'm welcome everywhere, mate. Gomez, Jauregui over 2.5. Yeah, it'll definitely be sweaty, plus it's minus money. Alrighty, let's move on. Alright, Robbie Lawler, Nico Price. This is the one fight I didn't tape, only because I knew that I would be tempted into betting Robbie Lawler, and at that point I'll probably lose my money. I think it's going to be competitive, and then at some point Nico just knocks him out. Nico's also looked washed, but I think even Cerrone and Alex Oliveira, the fight that he barely won 29-28, I think they're still a lot less washed than Robbie Lawler. And Phil Rowe, Phil Rowe's a decent dude. I thought he could have won 29-28, or he was losing 29-28 until he got knocked out. But yeah, Phil Rowe is Phil Rowe. I mean, completely different to Robbie Lawler, which feels painful to say. Yeah, I mean, getting knocked out by Barbarina, red flag city. Yeah, let's move on. Save some time on this fight. The under is juicy as well. I mean, Nico couldn't really knock out a washed Cerrone, so who knows. Alrighty, Dan Hooker, Jalen Turner, my biggest bet on the card. I've got Jalen Turner, 2.5k on him to win just over 1,000. Yeah, I think I didn't want to overthink it. I was looking for ways that Hooker could maybe win. It might be one of those plays where Jalen Turner doesn't cover and wins, because Hooker is maybe one of the better strikers that he's fought recently. Right, he's obviously better than Riddell. He's better than, I mean, you could say he's better than Uroš Medic, but I think Medic could potentially give Hooker a fight, Yeah, I just think it's one of those fights, and I think Turner is still improving. He's 28 years of age. I also think the line that I got, which is $1.45, a bit less than -200, could also look value. He's been running through these people. Uroš, Malaki, Riddell. Not the best dudes, but, Josh Kulabau. Yeah, I think he's improving. I think Hooker's regressing. He's always been hittable. He's always been slow, unathletic. He's been relying on his chin to, land counters in the pocket. And now he's, just kind of getting caught a lot more in his durability. He took a lot of damage. I think that Dustin Poirier fight was the best he looked in a while. Nasrat, big step down in competition. Used a bit of wrestling to win a clear decision. He really should have ran through him. Finished by Allen, finished by Makachev. Claudio Pello is almost, knee-barred him. Yeah, it's just not really impressed. I think it's a rough matchup, Someone like Jalen that can match his size and physicality, and Jalen's a freak, man. He barely throws. He barely loads up on his punches, and he's just got so much power. He rips the body. People just freak out when he hits him. Yeah, I think this is the perfect matchup for Jalen to progress in the rankings. They just gave him a washed striker, and Dan Hooker's wrestling's not that great. It's all right, but I don't think that path is going to work, man. Jalen Turner, he fought a guy like Gamrot, who's meant to be an awful matchup for him, and he took him to a split. His wrestling, the wrestling is his weakness, and the physicality is so big on him, and he's obviously working on it. Like, I mean, he could already be top five dude. He's potentially beats Gamrot on another day. I think he knocks out Demir. I think he probably knocks out Dawson. Yeah, this guy's going to be a top 5. Knock out Hooker, knock out a couple of dudes, and he might be looking at a title shot. So I'm not going to overthink it. If Hooker somehow wins a close striking fight where Jalen Turner looks off, then so be it. But I'm happy to have a big bet on Hooker here. To 2.5 thousand to win just over 1,000. I didn't feel just having a unit on him. I thought I'd put a bit more on. Big Bird is using 2 burner accounts. Jack Dellamana round 1 is $1.50 max bet. Oh, that's so shit. That's so crap. I would have loved the minus 200 for the under 1.5 at least. That's it's a bit rough. Then Hooker dyed his hair blonde. The shooter box effect. Yeah, I don't know. He also has horrible tattoos on his shins, so that kind of counteracts it. Turner is 4-0 against fighters from Oz and New Zealand. It's about to be 5-0, I guess. So cool. Alrighty, let's move on. Robbie Whittaker, Dricus Duplessis. I thought I'd be on Duplessis KO here, but then you take Whittaker and he's so good, man. He's so good. He's so good. It's just the speed advantage here, and just being so much more slicker than someone like Duplessis. I definitely don't advocate parlaying him. Robert is chinny, and he got dropped by Adesanya, and he got hurt by Cannonier. I think we will see it at some point. I mean, he was hurt by Darren Till. I'm talking like we haven't seen his chin in a while, but we've seen it in almost every single fight, other than Kevin Gastelum and the Vittori fight. Yeah, I mean, I'm not against taking a stab on Duplessis KO. He fixed his nose breathing issues, if you want to look into the narrative. I think the guy, he's got so many K1 fights, but he just doesn't fight like a technical kickboxer. Even Derek Brunson, I hammered the under there, and I live bet Duplessis after round 1. Even then, he was just eating so many shots from a gassed Brunson in rounds 2, but his chin is solid. At the under, my boy Pepe hit the under. I'm kind of contemplating that. But, Robert Whittaker, he's hurting really durable guys like Vittori, etc., etc. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like, he's going to be patient. His best move is really the 1-2 head kick. If he lands that, he can knock out anyone. If he doesn't land it, most likely goes to a decision. Dricus could knock him out too. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any. These last few fights just feel like typical pay-per-view fights where I don't really like the props. I don't really like the money lines. These title fights recently, so feels like a pass fight for me. If anything, I might sprinkle a little bit Dricus KO, and that's it. Brandon Moreno, Alessandro Pantoja. I taped this one first. It's probably the best fight on the card. It's one of the best. It's got the most decent line as well, all things considering. They fought twice. A lot of action on both ways. I'm very familiar with both these guys. I taped their first fights initially. I know they were both a long time ago, and Pantoja was the same guy back then. He always looked like Moreno was going to take over because Pantoja always gasses. He's extremely aggressive, and he doesn't really preserve his cardio, but he always pushes through, right? And even in those fights, it looked like Moreno was potentially going to take over. And then, Pantoja just lands a jab, lands an overhand, because Moreno's striking defense has never been good, and it still isn't. And then we just drop him, crack him, and then, go for the takedown, get the back, and, either submit him or, he beat the crap out of him in the second fight. I still don't think Moreno has the best striking defense. We've seen Figgy crack him. We've seen Kai Kara bust him up in both their fights. I think he's just something he's going to have that, that Mexican head movement, striking defense, but the durability is incredible. So, I mean, I think at best Pantoja just busts him up again. It all depends on how aggressively Pantoja comes out. At minus 200, I see a lot of people hammering Moreno. I get it. He's definitely improved. I think Pantoja's improved too. But yeah, I don't have a strong take here. It's dog or pass for me for sure. I'm scared about the 5 rounds. Like I said, this would be perfect live bet. I don't have live betting. I think Pantoja is definitely a step up from Figgy. You don't know how Figgy's going to come out. He's gassy. He's single shots, whereas Pantoja is very aggressive and he can blitz you. He's got way better jiu-jitsu. Yeah, I think it's a step down from a Figgy that he can come in and look horrible. Whereas Pantoja, he might look horrible for stretches, if he's pulling guard, but he's dangerous everywhere, and he fights good gassed. Whenever you think he's going to losing. I remember I was about to live bet Royval against him in rounds 2. It looked like Royval was melting him, and I used the book that limited me, and they rejected my live bet, and 2 seconds later, Pantoja rear-naked choked Royval. He's the only guy to rear-naked choke him. So he's elite jiu-jitsu. So it's a dog or pass for me, but I just don't have a strong take. Again, I won't have live betting. last time I went to Serbia, I forced a lot of these bets. They should have been live bets, like RDA over Fiziev. And yeah, they all ended up losing. So, I feel like if I bet Pantoja, there's going to be a bit of value on him. If Moreno potentially takes over. But if Pantoja fights patiently and Moreno fights patiently like that second last Figueiredo fight, and it's a 5-round striking fight where Pantoja can maybe drop him, crack him, take him down, there's going to be a ton of value on Pantoja, as an underdog. It could be a close decision. But if Moreno pushes the pace, he might also be more there to be hit. So it's a dog or pass for me. It's just I don't have a strong read. Maybe I'll tape it some more if I got time. Volkanovski, Yair Rodriguez. This is a great fight, man. At first everyone's like, people are thinking that Yair is nowhere near Volkanovski's level. But as soon as he beat up Emmett, I thought, you know what? I think Yair is one of the hardest dudes for Volkanovski to fight due to just the size, the sheer aggression, and the unpredictability, right? Volkanovski is really good at shutting people down, with his feints, mixing up the takedowns, high level IQ. But someone like Yair doesn't care about that. He doesn't fall for the feints. He slams his kicks into the body 3-4 times, doesn't set him up. He just treats you like a punching bag. So if you're feinting at him, he's not going to stop throwing the kicks. He's just going to slam him in. And, Max had really had massive trouble with that. He didn't know what was coming at him. It was just kicks, elbows, rolling thunders. I think Walk might have some issues with that because, he wants a technical fight. And he might want to grapple here. And he will have success grappling because, Yair doesn't really address that. He's still falling on his back. I know a lot of sharp people that hammered Yair against Emmett at Juice. And, he covered. He looked like a massive favorite there. It wasn't for me because his defense still sucks and his takedown defense still sucks. We've seen him fall to the ground against Ortega, and against ended up round 1 against Joe Emmett on his back too, and he got cracked badly in round 2 with an overhand. So he's still got those issues with the defense and the takedown defense. He's improved so much. He's dangerous on the feet and on the ground, and his durability is solid. So he usually gets up and he just continues with the offense. But, with Volkanovski, he might not be able to get up, Volkanovski has amazing control. He's got amazing grounded pound on top. If he slows down like he did against Max, man, there's not going to be... Volkanovski's going to beat the piss out of him like he did against that Ortega. So, my boy Brett Johnson, the under, I didn't think I would like it. It felt a little bit forced, it felt like one of those too durable dudes. And we've seen Volkanovski almost finish multiple people, and it went over, Ortega and... I was on that zombie KO, but KO is washed and just no defense whatsoever. And the chin is not there like it used to be. And then we've seen him beat the piss out of Max Holloway. Islam Makhachev dropped him multiple times. So it just feels like one of those, that Yair has extreme durability. If he can maybe get dropped, if it's a more patient fight. But I feel like once Yair starts spamming the kicks, Volk can't stand out in kicking range. He usually stands out in kicking range and uses his feints. He can't do that here. He has to close the distance because Yair wants to be at that space. So I feel like it could be a very aggressive fight, and then potentially Yair might gas sooner, and then maybe the under is good. So there you go, Brett. I'm considering it. Except the under 4.5 is a pick'em now. I thought it was plus money. That's a bit gay. I don't know. Like I said, these last 3 pay-per-view fights, they feel like past fights. Like a lot of the pay-per-views, the high-level pay-per-views recently. You got like Adesanya and stuff at Juice. Alrighty. Pepe Silvia. Took a bit of Whitaker sub also. Plus. It's up there. I think Duplessis is an underrated grappler. A bit like his counterpart, Cameron Saaiman. I think they're very athletic, very good wrestlers, and hard to hold down, very hard to sub. Because he was very comfortable on the ground with Brunson and Giles. He was taking Giles to the cleaners on the ground. All right, let's quickly go over the picks and then I'll do my best bets. Kamuela, Kirk, Esteban, Ribovics. Favorite or pass? I'm really considering Ribovics at this point. Shannon, Ross, Jesus Aguilar. Man, I don't even know what it is. It's either dog or pass or favorite or pass. I can see, but it's a low level fight, so maybe it's pass. Cameron Saaiman, Terrence Mitchell. I think this is a squash match. Saaiman in the parlay with Victor Petrino. I think it's also potentially a squash match. I think Victor Petrino can win even if he gets extended and they're both gassed. Cháirez to Taira. I think Cháirez can survive early, look for some overs if I've got good risk management. Crute Menifield, I think, is lined accurately. I'll be looking at the unders or some Menifield round one. Gomes versus Yazmin again. I think there might be some value on Gomes. I think she's improving if it's a 3-round striking battle. I think she might get some money out of me. I think she might get a quarter unit out of me. We'll see. Jack Della, Harrell. I think Harrell might have a chance if he survives. I don't know if he will. Maybe I'll play that round one. Robbie, Lawler, Price, pass. Dan Hooker, Turner. I've got 2.5k on Turner, just under 2 units. I don't want to overthink it. It's a striking fight where Turner is the less washed guy. Yeah, hopefully it doesn't shit the bed. Robbie Whittaker, Duplessis, dog or pass. Maybe look at some KO props. Maybe fight ends in KO. Maybe someone tell me what fight ends in KO. If it's similar or slightly worse than under 2.5, that might be better. It gives you 2.5 minutes longer. What else we got? Moreno, Pantoja, dog or pass. I might still come around on Pantoja. We'll see. If he fights technically and patiently, preserves his cardio, it could look some value. And Volkanovski, Yair, dog or pass again. I think Yair has a better chance than people are giving him. He's just... I haven't been playing him against these other dudes just because of his takedown defense and whatnot. So kind of just have to pass here as well. Maybe the unders are good, but it's not plus money anymore. So, alrighty, best bets. Last week I was talking about haven't had proper best bets. Last week we did. We had Renat. Absolutely destroyed Kevin Lee at minus 200, and I had the Burrito round one at better than minus 200. All had some value, and I think I do have some locks here as well. Turner's one of my best bets, and Cameron, Saaiman, Petrino, parlay. That's all I have. If you want, you can maybe play Saaiman inside the distance. Minus 200. That's if you want a single bet. If you don't want to parlay bullshit. I mean, Vitor Petrino KO would be better than his juiced money line. So yeah, those are my best bets. I think they're probably going to hit as well, just like last week. Yeah, not many plays. I don't want to force it. I have a lot of regional tape to do, but I'm flying out tonight, and yeah, we'll see. I hurt my ankle. I've got a lot of packing to do. We'll see. Like I said, I will be betting a lot in Europe. Jump on the Discord, jump on Twitter. Gonna have some really good non-forced bets in Europe like last year by the beat side. Other than that, like and subscribe. I'm also 400 subscribers. And yeah, good luck on your bets. Thanks for listening. Mountain bets. Before I go, you take LFA 162. I taped one fight and it got pulled. So I'm hoping to tape some now. And yeah, follow me on Twitter, mate, or DM me if you want to know my opinions. I'm definitely trying to tape it. Alrighty, peace out, everyone.